No matter how the cachet of the WNBA elevates, remember, it could have been even better. You messed it up. You messed it up.
The WNBA has a serious problem. They let the biggest star in league history, Caitlin Clark, get bullied and targeted all season long. And now, the result is finally catching up with them. Clark has reportedly been offered an unheard-of contract to leave the WNBA behind and head to Europe. In this video, I'm going to break down the shocking details of that offer and how it exposes the WNBA's total failure to protect its brightest star. We'll go inside the disastrous decisions that led to this moment, why Clark's departure would be catastrophic, and what it really means for the future of women's basketball.
I know she will do her best. I know she's talented, but she's not strong enough and she doesn't have enough experience right now to compete at this.
No matter how much the WNBA tries to highlight its growth, there's one undeniable truth. This league could have been so much bigger, if only it had treated Caitlin Clark differently.
Nonsense about things that Caitlin was doing wrong when, in my personal opinion, she was doing nothing but going out there and playing great basketball every night and ignoring the hate that was coming to her from all sides, not only from fans.
Her move overseas isn't just speculation anymore. It's looking increasingly likely. And make no mistake, if Clark leaves, it won't just be a player transfer. It will be a once-in-a-generation shift that could permanently reshape the basketball landscape. Think about it. Clark was supposed to be the future. She shattered college records, turned national championship games into primetime events, and single-handedly brought millions of new fans into women's basketball. But instead of protecting her, the league allowed her to take hit after hit literally on the court. Opponents were overly aggressive, refs swallowed the whistle, and league leadership stood by silently. They let controversy fester, hoping it would spark conversation. But for Caitlin, it meant endless nights of rough play, frustration, and no backup from the very people who should have been in her corner.
You weren't making a basketball argument. You weren't making a basketball argument.
We're not saying we were making a basketball
No, Andrea, I'm not going to let you do that.
Go ahead,
Andrea, I'm not going to let you make it seem like Caitlin Clark was averaging 5 points a game. At the time, she was still averaging 16 points a game, which was more than a lot of other guards that made the team. So don't do that. Don't make it seem like she was averaging 5 points and this was like a handout.
No.
Look at her numbers. Look at her numbers comparable to the other guards that were on the team. That's all I'm saying.
So what exactly is this deal? Multiple sources report that Clark has been offered a contract worth several times what she earns in the WNBA. We're talking life-changing money, figures that would instantly make her one of the highest-paid women's basketball players in the world. But it's not just about the paycheck. Overseas leagues offer far more than financial security. They play shorter schedules, meaning fewer games, less travel, and more rest. They provide top-tier facilities, private accommodations, and most importantly, they treat their stars like royalty. Picture this. The lights dim, thousands of fans rise to their feet, and as Clark steps onto the court in Europe, the arena erupts. They chant her name, they know every stat, and they're there because she's the face of the league. This isn't just a job overseas, it's a platform to become the global face of women's basketball. Caitlin's potential move has opened the floodgates. Already, stars like Nalissa Smith and Kelsey Mitchell are choosing to spend their off-seasons in China for bigger paychecks and better treatment. The reality is simple. The WNBA's pay structure can't keep up. International leagues are offering salaries that dwarf what players make here. And when you combine that with better living conditions, fewer games, and greater respect, the choice becomes obvious. This isn't just a one-off. It's the start of a trend. And Caitlin Clark, arguably the most marketable player the league has ever seen, could be the one who proves that overseas is the smarter path.
Fact that she was getting all of that, yet all of these eyeballs were coming to the league because of her. The Indiana Fever was turning away games into home.
The sad truth is that the league had every chance to keep Clark happy. They knew she was the star. They saw the ticket sales spike. They saw TV ratings soar 400% the moment she entered the league. They watched merchandise fly off the shelves, breaking records left and right. Clark did in 5 weeks what the WNBA couldn't accomplish in 5 years. She brought attention, money, and relevance to women's basketball in a way no one else had. And how did the league repay her? by letting her get fouled harder than anyone else, by ignoring fan outrage over her treatment, by failing to put protections in place that would safeguard their biggest draw. Even worse, when it came time to make a statement, whether through contracts, league policies, or even public gestures, the WNBA fell silent. No massive offer, no bold declaration that Clark was their centerpiece. Nothing. They just let her slide through their fingers.
Viewership, which is up 400% to 40%. Between ticket sales, which is up 93% to 16%. Between regular game viewership, which is up 180% to 20%. What Caitlin Clark has done is grown the WNBA exponentially. She did in 5 weeks what would have taken 5 years. And as it pertains to draft viewership, she did in 5.
If Clark leaves, the WNBA won't just lose a player. They'll lose their movement, their spark, the one athlete who brought casual fans into arenas and glued them to TV screens. Sponsors, gone. Merch sales, crashing. Ticket demand, down. The financial blow will be massive, millions lost overnight, and the hole she leaves won't be filled easily. Yes, the league has other talented athletes, but none carry Clark's transcendent star power. She wasn't just a scorer. She was a story. She was fearless, competitive, and magnetic. People didn't just watch the game, they watched her. And without her, the league is staring at a future that looks far more uncertain. Imagine if the WNBA had treated Caitlin the way the NBA treated Michael Jordan in his rise.
Look at what the NBA became. Even when Jordan was ascending and the league clearly saw that was the dude, and Nike was marketing the living hell out of Michael Jordan. I want to be like Mike. It was still Bird and Magic.
They marketed Jordan relentlessly, built campaigns around him, and ensured the league revolved around his stardom. That's what helped turn the NBA into the powerhouse it is today. Instead, the WNBA let Clark take the hits while they cashed in on her attention. And now Europe is ready to give her exactly what she deserves: superstar treatment, global exposure, and financial freedom. And it doesn't stop there. Analysts like Jason Whitlock are already suggesting alternatives, like building an in-season, unrivaled league, where the best women's players could compete domestically for bigger money without going overseas. But so far, the WNBA hasn't shown any urgency to innovate. Here's the brutal truth. The WNBA is no longer the automatic top choice for the world's best players. With other leagues offering better contracts, better care, and better platforms, the balance of power in women's basketball is shifting overseas. If Clark leaves, she won't just be chasing money, she'll be making a statement. She'll be saying loud and clear that the WNBA failed to protect its most valuable star. And if she thrives in Europe, don't be surprised when more players follow her lead. We've covered the why, the how, and the immediate fallout. But to truly understand the scale of this disaster for the WNBA, we need to go deeper. We need to look at the financial data, the historical context, and the psychological impact this has had on not just Caitlin Clark, but on every player who's been fighting for this moment. Let's start with the money. A recent study by a finance professor at Indiana University estimated that Clark was responsible for over 25% of the WNBA's total revenue in her first season alone. That includes attendance, TV, and merchandise sales. Do you know what her base salary was for that season? $76,535. Now, a new media rights deal is on the table, valued at a massive $2.2 billion over 11 years. But the players still only receive a fraction of the league's revenue, a far cry from the 50-50 split that the NBA has. This isn't just a pay gap, it's a fundamental flaw in the business model that a star like Clark has completely exposed. What makes the European offer so compelling isn't just the sheer number, it's the understanding of her value. International leagues operate differently. They have no salary caps in the same way, and they are willing to pay for marquee talent. They understand that to get a Caitlin Clark, you have to treat her like a Caitlin Clark. The WNBA's refusal to offer a comparable, legacy-defining contract isn't just a missed opportunity, it's a failure to recognize their own leverage. They held all the cards, and they chose to fold. This isn't about blaming the players on the court. It's about a failure of leadership. The league had a choice. They could have protected their investment, and by doing so, shown every aspiring young female athlete that the top of the WNBA is a place of respect and prosperity. Instead, they've sent a clear message. You can be the most popular, most impactful player in the world, and you'll still be treated like an interchangeable part. And that's why this unrivaled league proposal, while still in its early stages, is so important. Co-founded by WNBA stars Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier, it's an in-season 3-on-3 league designed to provide top players with another option to earn a substantial income during the offseason. The average salary is reportedly over $250,000, with players even receiving equity in the league. This is a direct response to the WNBA's failings, its players taking control of their own economic destiny. Clark's potential move to Europe would be the biggest symbol of this player empowerment movement. The WNBA is now in a race against time. They have to reevaluate their entire structure, not just for Clark, but for the next generation of players. They need to address the salary cap, improve travel conditions, and, most importantly, create an environment where their stars are celebrated and protected, not used as a marketing tool for a manufactured controversy. Because if Caitlin Clark leaves, the WNBA won't just lose a player. They'll lose their movement. They'll lose the momentum that took decades to build. And they'll lose the moral high ground to the very leagues they once saw as a secondary option. The WNBA thought they could afford to play games with their brightest star. But if Caitlin Clark leaves for Europe, the WNBA won't just lose a player. They'll lose the very future they were supposed to build around her. Because Caitlin Clark isn't just basketball's next superstar, she might be the one who forces women's basketball to rewrite its entire future. To truly grasp the gravity of this situation, we need to place it within the historical context of the WNBA. For years, the league's greatest stars have had to go overseas to supplement their income. Legends like Diana Taurasi and Candace Parker have talked about the physical and mental toll of playing year-round, traveling to countries like Russia and China just to earn a living wage. Diana Taurasi famously said she had to go to a communist country to get paid like a capitalist. This isn't a new problem. It's a deep-seated issue that the WNBA has failed to solve for decades. The difference now is that the stakes are infinitely higher. Caitlin Clark isn't just another star. She's a generational talent who has single-handedly brought in a wave of new fans who have never watched women's basketball before. This isn't just about a salary negotiation. It's a symbolic fight for the future of the sport. The WNBA's leadership and team owners are at a crossroads. They can either continue with a business model that has proven to be unsustainable for its top talent, or they can embrace the Caitlin Clark effect and revolutionize the league from the ground up. What would that revolution look like? It would start with a new collective bargaining agreement that gives players a fair share of the revenue. It would mean raising the salary cap significantly, allowing teams to pay their stars what they're truly worth. It would mean prioritizing player wellness and safety, ensuring that star players are protected on the court, and that the league's competitive environment doesn't devolve into a physical free-for-all. It would mean embracing the new era of women's basketball with the same marketing savvy and financial commitment that the NBA has long enjoyed. If the WNBA fails to act, we could see a future where the world's best women's basketball players are no longer playing in America. Instead, they could be playing in Europe, Asia, or in new leagues like Unrivaled, where they are treated with the respect and compensation they deserve. The WNBA would risk becoming a minor league, a launching pad for international superstardom, but not the final destination. This is a pivotal moment. The WNBA is at a precipice. The question is no longer whether Caitlin Clark is the future of the league, but whether the league is a part of Caitlin Clark's future. The entire landscape of women's basketball hangs in the balance, and the WNBA's response to this unprecedented situation will define its legacy for generations to come.